to Super Marvel Brothers, the Marvel Cinematic Universe recap podcast, as we get you ready for Marvel's The Avengers Infinity War. I am Brendon, and I am joined by
Connor.
And this week, we did Civil War. Captain America 3, Civil War, also known as the movie that made us yell at each other the most, so it lived up to its name.
Yes, it did.
It came out in 2016 by the Russo brothers. I don't have IMDb up, but I'm sure this made a lot of money. Did you see this in theaters?
Yep. Pretty sure I did. Did you?
Yes, I did. I actually remember, I remember who I was with. I remember actually a funny story about this. A coworker's daughter was on her first date, and the coworker told me that she was on a date at the same movie. So her daughter was very embarrassed when she saw me.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
That's good.
So, you ready to just get into this?
Yeah, let's you go ahead and start.
Yeah, we're both kind of pressed for time today, so we're going to try and get through the recap quick. There's a lot to go in this movie, but like you said, go watch it yourself. This is a good one. So we started in 1991 with a flashback to Russia. We see the Winter Soldier there, and they're going through a series of codes.
Yes.
The series of codes are just random words.
In Russian.
In Russian. They are in Russian. There's a book with a red star on it, which matches the star we see on the Winter Soldier's arm.
Right.
The codes, like I said, are random, except they do throw Homecoming in there, which...
Oh, nods. Real quick. This made $1,153,304,495 worldwide. The budget was $250 million.
Yeah, so usually when you do those movies, you kind of double the budget for marketing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at about made $500 million in profit.
It's pretty good.
I could deal with that. Anyway, and we see that the Winter Soldier's brainwashed by this. He goes ready to report or ready to comply. I forget exactly what it says. And they ask for the mission report of this December, I forget the date, but 1991. And that's our little vignette into the...
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess we also do see a scene of him going on this mission. He crashes a car and then pulls up what we assume, it's never really said, but we assume is super soldier serum.
Right.
It's the blue that we saw from Captain America. And that's our little vignette into Civil War.
Yep. We open up right on the mission, don't we?
Yep, we're right on the mission, which I should point out, this movie gets some joking for because it tells you in giant letters where you are throughout the movie.
Right.
There's no it's not subtle at all. It's just the entire screen full, so it says Lagos.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like the design choice.
I have no problem with it, but I do know a lot of people give it a hard time for that. So yeah, we open up in Lagos. There's some sort of mission going on. Looking at the newspapers, we see Crossbones.
Right.
Which you probably don't know yet in the movie, but because we've seen it, we do
know.
Well,
a picture of him shown.
Yeah, a picture of him shown, and it's actually the guy from Cap 2. Yeah,
he was like the leader of Cap's team or whatever.
Yeah, he was like the head Hydra agent that was
not. He was the guy who led the people in the elevator scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you know who he is. So they're on this mission in Lagos. They think they're going to be attacking the police station.
Right. And
we see Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Cap, and the Falcon. The Falcon.
The Falcon.
The Falcon is here. And they're kind of scouting it. We see Falcon's new toy.
Oh man, Red Wing, the mascot of the Avengers.
The mascot of the Avengers. He's kind of he's a little drone.
It's a little creepy how much Sam Wilson is into him.
I mean, I'm into him.
Yeah.
I want a little Red Wing.
There's a great point where he just says to Black Widow, he's like, "No, he's cute. Go on, pet him."
It's his little toy pet. So using Red Wing, he scans this dumpster truck or loading truck and sees that it's weighed max capacity, and they realize it's going to be used as a battering ram to actually go into
the Institute of Infectious Diseases.
The II, because you can't use CDC.
Yeah, it's the IFID.
Yeah,
IFID.
IFID.
So they have to change their plans real quick and do that, and this just turns into a big action scene. Go watch the movie; it's done really well.
Yeah, like I said, it's a nice action scene. You get some powers there. The one thing I will point out that I really like, there's been a little upgrade to Falcon's wings.
Oh yeah,
a lot more flexible. He can do more with it. We both comment we love the fact he can turn into a giant shield now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And he's got tank missiles.
Tank missile.
So, yeah, but it turns into a giant action scene. Eventually, Crossbones gets away with some of the disease, whatever they were getting. In fact, bacteria. It's never explained.
No, it's not. It's just like, oh, it's a biological weapon.
Which I think the one thing it did point out, the one guy says, if you don't drop the gun, I'm going to drop it. That's not how disease works. Like, you can't just drop it and then it's going to spread and kill everyone. Like,
right.
I don't know, unless it's like a super soldier serum disease.
Yeah, like, unless it's like super duper contagious. Yeah. Like, if it, I guess, turns into a gas the second it's exposed to oxygen, maybe, but...
Yeah, I guess, or like eats the atmosphere or something.
Yeah, it's, I don't know.
So, but yeah, we get this action scene. Eventually, we get a fight scene between Cap and Crossbones.
Which, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like Crossbones. I like his... He doesn't have any powers.
He has, like, these pneumatic gauntlets, essentially, that just, like, super punch.
It honestly reminded me of something I would see in Robot Wars.
Well, it's if you've ever seen Pacific Rim, Cherno Alpha, the big Russian robot, essentially had the same thing.
Oh, I gotta see Pacific Rim too.
Yeah, me too. Danny and I went to see it, and I couldn't join them.
What did they say about it?
They said it was good. Like,
I heard it's a better version of Independence Day 2, which is not a good review.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Cap disarms him, and then Crossbones, he mentions Bucky, and Cap kind of freezes, and Crossbones pulls out a bomb he was strapped with.
Yeah, Crossbones strapped with a bomb. He wants to take Cap out with him. Scarlet Witch is there, though, to kind of use her powers to take the bomb up.
Right.
She takes the explosion up, but we kind of had not an argument, but like we didn't understand. She takes it towards a building.
Yeah, and the best thing we could figure is like maybe she just can't control it well, but like...
I mean, I used the fact she's not experienced, so she didn't think about that, or she can't control that yet.
The other thing I was thinking of is like, couldn't she just hold it and let the explosion die out?
Maybe it's too powerful. Maybe. I mean,
don't know.
Yeah, we really don't know what
her powers have no concrete like it's not like super strength. Okay, I know what super strength is. Her powers are like whatever the movie needs at that time. First it was mind powers, then it was telekinesis, then she starts disintegrating things.
There's a word in movies for that, but I forget what it is when like it just
ex machina.
There's another word for that, but I mean that'll work. It's like an ex machina, like oh hey, it works now.
Yeah.
So, but it blows up, and we actually find out there's actually Wakandan peacemakers for the first time leaving the country. Wakanadan. Leaving the country on a peace trip, and that were killed in that.
Yeah.
So now we've got Wakanda involved in this.
Yes.
One last thing before we leave Lagos for now. We talked about Cap and his shield.
Yes. What about it?
He's a wizard.
That's gonna sound great on the recording. My laptop just made noise.
But
oh yeah, no. Cap is a shield wizard.
Like they say later in the movie this doesn't follow all physics, and this entire first scene it doesn't.
No.
Like he's literally throwing around corners and like
he rolls it on the ground and somehow hits a guy behind a pillar. Like
I don't get it. He has to be really good at geometry,
like on the spot trigonometry and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
he might be smarter than Tony Stark, actually, with angles. At least with angles.
At least with angles. He's the angle genius.
Speaking of Tony Stark, we cut right back to him. He's at MIT.
Yeah, I like this. I actually really like this scene. What it is he's like, it shows a woman playing the piano, and then Howard Stark comes in.
It's his mom playing the piano.
Yeah, it's his mom. And Howard Stark comes in, and then a young, de-aged Robert Downey Jr., which, if you see older movies where he's in it, it looks pretty good.
Marvel does a good job de-aging.
They do.
Disney, I guess, because they do it in Star Wars too.
That Disney money.
That Mickey money.
And they and it's pretty much going like through the last time Tony saw them before they died, and there's this whole thing of like, go on and say something, like, you know, you should, like, you're gonna regret it if you don't. And so he does, and he turns out he's like at this, not a press conference, but like a presentation at MIT, and he's.
We should say the system's called BARF. I forget what it stands for, but it's called BARF.
It's like bioelectrical recall function or something. Foundation, I forget, but essentially it was like, yeah, this costs like $1.6 billion for my therapy, but whatever.
Yeah, and the whole point is he's saying no one would have funded this project. But it's like he's showing what good it could do. Right. And that's what he's using here. He actually funds every project at MIT. Yeah. Through the September Foundation.
Which is interesting because It is just a little comedy thing. There's I forget what the actor's name is. He's in a lot. Like he's in Sky High. He's a really good like eccentric school character. I guess he looks like a teacher. And he's saying like, so is it just student projects or staff projects? Because I'm working on this self-cooking hot dog, and that's just.
That is what the world needs in 2018.
Chemical detonators, man.
With everything that's going on, I would love to just pull a hot dog out of the freezer, and then boom, it's cooked.
How would I'm not even gonna.
But we find out the reason he's actually doing this is he has so much guilt over all the things that have happened lately.
Right.
And that gets brought up when a woman is backstage, who her son was actually in Sokovia during the events of Age of Ultron.
Right.
So, and she's not trying to do anything. It just shows her a picture of him and like all his accomplishments.
And she says this is I think both of our biggest issue with the movie. She says, "I blame you for his death."
Okay, so let's talk about this now. And Thunderbolt Ross comes back in this movie and does this a little later, and he lists all these things. So let's list the things here, and let's see if the Avengers are to blame. Okay. New York City.
No, not at all.
The Avengers had nothing to do with that.
No.
Loki started that whole thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Washington, D.C.
No. Nope, that was Hydra.
That was Hydra.
100% Hydra.
Because
everything was leaked saying it was Hydra.
And had they not done that, millions of people would be dead anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sokovia.
So, like, by proxy, sort of, but not really.
So here's the only way this movie's plot makes sense. Mm-hmm. Is it leaked that Tony Stark made Ultron?
Which it would, if this happened... Okay, if Ultron happened before Winter Soldier, then I'd be like, yeah, no, that makes sense, okay. But it didn't. It happened after Winter Soldier.
I need proof that the world knows that Tony Stark made Ultron, because if they don't know that, there is nothing to blame the Avengers on here.
Right.
Because it is a crazy robot trying to destroy the world and they stop him.
Right.
Now, if you find out that Tony Stark made the crazy robot, then okay. So we'll give it like 50-50.
Yeah.
So like it's partially... And then Lagos...
Lagos was sort of their fault.
Yeah, that's their fault. So of the 4 things they say have destroyed the world because they're unchecked, 2.5 of them are not their fault.
Right. Exactly.
So I feel like there's a lot of... When you think about this movie...
I guess people like to... I guess the idea is that people will find a reason for their hatred, if that makes sense. Like, and the only face they had to stick it to was the Avengers.
Yeah, and I guess the only thing you could say is you can kind of say Vision says a little later. We'll just talk at the scene. Thunderbolt Ross comes in, talks about Sokovia Accords that can be approved. Vision makes the argument that since Tony Stark became Iron Man, announced he was Iron Man,
right,
the threats to the world have increased.
Like, and while he says, like, while the Avengers are a great show of force and that we can do good, that also elicits people to try to challenge it.
Force brings challenge or something like that. So I guess you can make that argument, but even then, that's not a good argument.
No, it's very, like, this is a good movie, but it's hard to stick it, like, it's hard to sit back and say, like, yeah, I get what the people are saying by blaming the Avengers.
And I even think, like, when you get to the plot of the movie with the Cap and Tony, that's good. Right. But I think the way they got there is pretty sloppy.
Right.
I think it's a good...
Which is a shame, because the Russo brothers did Winter Soldier, and that was an extremely good movie.
Yeah, that was. I think this movie had they were trying to do a little too much.
Well, and here's the thing, because I think
this was a crowded movie.
This was the one movie to comic thing I think we both read. We both read Civil War, correct?
It's been a while, but I have read it.
Yeah. And Civil War in the comics starts very differently, but it ends up essentially the same way this begins, where someone says to Stark, like, my son's dead and I blame you, because you started this whole superhero thing. And it's not Sokovia Accords in the comics, it's like a registration program for superheroes, but like, it what I like about that better is, like, it's like, okay, yes, that's a reason for people to hate him. Like, he's kind of behind this craze. That's a reason for people to direct this at.
Oh, yeah, I remember, because they had those, in the comics, it's this, like, reality show superheroes, and they blow up a school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that now.
And they, like, try to take on someone who's, like, way above their league, and they end up blowing up, like, 6 blocks.
Oh, no, I remember the key is there was an elementary school that they blew up. That was it. So that makes sense, like, why people be mad at superheroes. This doesn't. They've saved, like... Had they not done anything,
the world would have been extinct like 3 times over.
Yeah, so I don't get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Thunderbolt Ross comes back. He hasn't been in here for a while.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I disagree. I was like, that's not Ross, is it? And you were like, yeah, that is. And then later they say Ross, and I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, so he comes back. Cut. He's now Secretary of State.
So we are under clearly Secretary of Defense.
Okay.
I think.
I have SOS, so Secretary of State. There you go.
So we are clearly in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We are under a very conservative presidency. If Ross got Secretary of State, I can only assume.
I mean, we can make political assumptions, I guess.
Oh, I'm not saying it for politics. I'm just saying for observation.
Okay.
Ross does not strike me as someone who would be on the Democratic Party.
Nah, he's a war hawk.
Yeah, so.
I mean, his name's Thunderbolt.
Some would say he's a war hulk. Ow! Ow!
That's the second episode I've thrown a close at you.
Ow.
That now has to happen every episode.
No, it does not.
We then flash to Cleveland.
My name is Cleveland. Oh, the city.
Fun times in Cleveland today. Cleveland.
So, yeah, we flash to Cleveland where we see someone inside is essentially a very paranoid guy. Inside a house, someone crashes into his car outside.
Well, he's Russian. So he's an old Russian
Right.
soldier that used to work on the Winter Soldier program.
Right. And someone crashes into his car outside, and he opens the door to talk to him, and then the guy rushes in and knocks him out. And it turns out this is going to be our scoundrel for the movie.
Yeah, Zemo.
Baron Zemo. He's trying to find out what happened in whatever mission 1991.
December. I just remember it's December 1991.
Yeah.
I forget the date off the top of my head.
So December 1991, and he asks this guy, and he's like, Hydra deserves to die. Like, I'm not...
Yeah, and then Zemo drowns this guy.
Yeah, like, at first we're sitting there like, oh, he's going to waterboard him. And
which is not good, but...
No, but he straight up drowns the dude.
In a Disney movie.
In a sink.
Like, he has his head below the water line, so he's underwater hanging in a sink.
Right, yeah.
It's honestly terrifying.
Yeah, that's really messed up.
So, but he has the book.
That's something out of a Wanted movie, you know? Like what's...
Like Liam Neeson?
Yeah. Was that Wanted? No, Wanted was the one with the curved bullets. Taken.
Yeah,
that's it.
It is like...
It's something out of a Taken movie.
So, to go off that, I mean, the important thing now is Zemo has the book.
Right.
We go back to Avengers Mansion. They're doing that discussion still about should they sign, shouldn't they sign. They're already kind of split on it. And then Cap gets the text that she passed away in her sleep.
Which she referring to Peggy.
So he's now going with Sam to London.
For the funeral.
And this is where we find out that the agent from Cap 2 is actually Peggy's granddaughter.
Oh, man.
Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
You've been saying...
This is weird.
But I've been saying...
He was basically going to date and possibly marry Peggy in the 40s.
Yes.
And now he has a love interest with her granddaughter.
No, it's like her grandniece.
That's
Peggy was her aunt.
That's weird.
Shake the roots, get the fruit. That's
you
what
said
I
that so many times, it was so disturbing.
Shake the roots of that family tree, get the fruit, you know what I mean?
No
Only Captain America can pull it off. He lived in 2 different time periods.
It's kind of weird. But she does make this funny, not funny, I should say, we made it funny because we found a picture later where she says, if someone tells you to move, you need to say no. And we were laughing because we found a picture of her saying that, and then later in the movie, when the Winter Soldier asked Falcon to move his seat back, and he says no.
I really want someone to go and edit it so it's just like that speech, and then just cuts to that and him going no, and then credits roll.
I'll find it then. I'm sure it's online. While they're doing that, though, we find out we also have in Vienna. They're going to sign the Sokovia.
Yeah, so the funeral happens to be happening at the same time during the signing of the Sokovia Accords, where we meet King T'Chaka and Prince T'Challa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And they meet Black Widow, which I brought up the point. All the Avengers have to either sign or retire.
Right.
Why is Black Widow the only one here? Like, Tony's not there. You think Rhodey, of all people, would be there.
Rhodey would have been a good one. Tony, I would not want at a...
No, I can understand not having Tony, but Black Widow...
Black Widow in the last Captain America literally told the government to, like, go screw itself.
Yeah, so why is she the one representing?
I don't know. Rhodey would have been a good choice.
I think Rhodey should have been there, and maybe Vision? I don't know. Vision's probably not a good one.
Probably not Vision.
So Rhodey.
Rhodey would have been a good one.
Rhodey would have been a good one. Anyway, we get the Prince
T'Challa.
No, it was King
T'Chaka.
Yeah. He's making a speech. Sorry.
T'Chaka.
Yeah, T'Chaka.
Okay.
He's making a speech. While they're making a speech, a bomb goes off.
Right.
Which you pointed out.
Dude, if anyone was looking during that explosion, Black Panther's, like, secret is out. Like, he made this, like, 20-foot jump.
But he's told everyone to get down first.
Right.
So if they got down, no one saw it.
Everyone, you need to get down. I need to be sure everyone is down.
And then I'll make
and
this
then
giant...
I will move.
But we probably should be joking because his father does die.
Yeah,
here.
his dad dies.
And now he's filled with revenge.
Right, which is interesting considering we did one movie out of order, which was Black Panther.
Yeah, we had to do that out of order because we weren't sure if we'd be able to watch it now.
Right. And the and it's interesting to see his character there and his character now. And I don't know if that was just a director or writer change or if that's because...
Well, I think he has a lot of growth in this movie, even though he's only on screen for maybe a total 10 minutes.
Right.
But there's a lot of growth of him in this movie. And also, Black Panther takes place
like right after
a
Civil War.
week after this. So, honestly, if we were doing this in order, you should go Civil War, then Black Panther.
Yeah. But, so... we see that, and there's a little scene with Black Widow and Black Panther, well, T'Challa, and it's like, I'm sorry your father died thing, and he's like, well, in my culture, death isn't the end. It's
he's basically describing the plane.
Yeah,
from the movie, which is
ancestral
also...
plane. Yeah, oh my god, that was so beautiful in that movie. But he's just like, yeah, in my culture, death isn't an end. It's a jumping off point. Like you go. Like he's like explains this, and she's like, "That's beautiful." He's like, "Yeah, that's what my father thought. I'm not my father." And he puts the ring on and walks off, and he pretty much says like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill him myself. I'm gonna kill the Winter Soldier myself."
So, and that's when we find out all the news is leaked that it's Bucky that did this.
Who did it?
They've been trying to find for how many years now, and they couldn't find anything.
Right.
So now, Bucky's actually in Romania, I think it is.
I think.
Yeah, it's in Romania. He sees a newspaper, sees that he's wanted. Cap gets a tip from Sharon Carter.
Right.
So him and Falcon are there.
Which you pointed out, the Avengers starter set for stealth missions is a jacket, some aviators, and a blank baseball cap.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Because Falcon
and then how does the Winter Soldier get caught? He has almost the whole thing, but what does he not have?
He does not have those glasses.
He doesn't have the aviators. Had he had the aviators, we would still not know where the Winter Soldier is.
Yeah.
But you gotta wear your glasses if you're gonna go undercover.
I'm just saying Falcon and Cap both had all of those things on.
Yeah.
Which
Scarlet Witch had it on too at the beginning.
True. Like, I gotta say, I'm sorry, if I saw two guys walking down the street like that, those are instantly the most suspicious guys on the street.
Who has a baseball hat with nothing on
Nothing! It's just blank. Like, the only people I know who have that are, like, cooks.
Yep.
And they're always black.
Yeah. No, you don't have a blank blue baseball cap.
No.
You don't do that.
No, it's weird.
So we get this kind of chase fight scene where the Winter Soldier and Cap fight their way through the German police.
Well, and this is kind of cool because Cap goes into his apartment and then finds Bucky and they start talking. And the whole time in Cap's ear, Falcon's saying, like, okay, police are surrounding the building. They have a perimeter set up. It's
on
like
the roof.
It's almost like time. Mm-hmm. Like, Cap knows, okay, I got so long.
Which he's being very calm for this.
He is. And he's just like, they're like, all right, they're about to breach. Like, there's a point where Falcon says, I'm compromised. And he's just like, all right, Bucky, you gotta go.
So you get this cool scene. I think my favorite part of this is when he grabs the railing.
Oh, and just
then use it down like a rope. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, and what's really cool about this action scene is it's like Cap trying to keep Bucky in check because he's like, Bucky says, I'm not gonna kill anyone. They almost throws a guy down like 10 stories.
Yeah, Cap saves him. He's like, come on, man.
Yeah, he literally just like, come on, man. Like, really?
They eventually get onto the other rooftop, and this is where we see our Black Panther for the first time.
Yeah, which I personally loved in the theaters because this suit is like, I think what you imagine superheroes would look like in real life, you know? Like with the helmet and like the suit. It's very like Power Rangers-esque.
Yeah, you said don't worry, the Black Power Rangers here to save the day. Where's the Mastodon?
Yeah. Like it's really awesome. Plus, it's the first time you're seeing Black Panther on film. Like, if
Yeah,
you're...
it's true. And
Yeah.
And I think it's really good now that you know more about him.
Right. In the order we watch, like, it's out of order, but yeah, it's really it's really not. Yeah, it doesn't mess it up too much.
We get a chase theme throughout the city. Eventually, the one thing I want to point out, a lot of CTE here.
So much CTE.
So much CTE. And then the scene where the Winter Soldier rips a dude off a motorcycle, picks the motorcycle up
using the motorcycle's momentum.
Yeah, and then flips it and goes the other way was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
That's pretty good.
There's a lot of cool things with motorcycles in that movie, and that's probably the coolest.
Yeah, that's up there.
They eventually do get caught, though, by War Machine.
And T'Challa takes the mask off, which you were like, why? And I was like, he's kind of a diplomat, right? Like...
That doesn't mean you can do that.
It means you can't... I mean, when you're a king... Doesn't it?
No.
Doesn't it?
No.
Pim particles.
Okay, now you got it. Odin magic.
Odin magic.
Odin just uses magic on that one scene in the movie.
I like this cat man. I do not want him caught.
Is that your Anthony Hopkins?
Yes, it's the closest. Trying to channel my inner bear.
That's way more believable.
Oh god, the audio.
We go to Berlin now, where they have been stationed, Tony and the rest of the Avengers. Tony and Cap kind of have a little talk here.
It's not like... So, Civil War was advertised very much between, like, this big conflict between Tony and Cap. But, like... And I think it's kind of expected for it to start here, but it's not a heated argument. Like
no.
It's very much like, Tony, like, look, here's pens, like, from wherever it goes.
The Lend-Lease Act, come on.
Okay, I'm sorry. And he's just like, look, like, you know, this is... And he almost convinces him, too.
Oh, I think he had him convinced till he said what he did with Wanda.
Yeah, like, he almost had him convinced if Tony just knew when to shut up,
yeah,
this movie would have been over.
I think half the problems of the MCU would be saved if Tony knew when to shut up.
Tony's like the Zeus of the MCU.
Yeah.
If only he kept it in his pants.
What?
Like, yeah, because he's like... Cap's like, there would have to be, like, checks and balances. And Tony's like, yes, when the PR fires out, we can amend it. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, he's saying we can fix it. We just need something to kind of, like, give us some accountability, basically, is what he's arguing. Which I think is interesting, because I believe this came out after Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And I like Man of Steel. It's a good movie. It's the closest Dragon Ball Z movie I'm ever going to get
Pretty
in real
much.
life. But the big backlash on Man of Steel was...
The mass destruction.
The mass destruction and, like, the not caring that you killed millions of people.
Right.
Which they then tried to backtrack hard on in Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah.
But I just like the fact that I think Marvel saw that as like, well, maybe we should, like, play on that if people really care about it. So that's...
the thing they did bad is they chose wrong events to care about.
Yeah, but...
Like, oh, it's your fault New York happened. No.
But it would almost make sense, especially...
Please don't break my belt.
Don't tell me what to do. It would make sense with their split there, because Tony's had that PTSD.
Right.
He's had this flashbacks. He's had the story. So he would be the one definitely that says, like, we need to check this.
Right.
And Cap, you see, he's coming from fighting Hydra in the 40s with the Nazis, and now fighting Hydra in 2014.
So Cap kind of sees, like, like the necessity of the... I don't want to say the necessity of the, like, crossfire, but you know what I mean? He's like, this is for the greater good.
Yeah, and I think Cap is just, if you're trying to limit freedom in any way, you got to be very careful with that.
Right.
Was it Franklin? Those who trade freedom for security serve neither freedom or security.
And that's interesting because in Cap 2 they did it well, to where it was like, yeah, no, this is clearly wrong. Mm-hmm. But in this one...
Well, I think what makes this movie really well done is there's no right or wrong side.
Right. I still feel like the comics did that better, but I rewatching this movie, I will say they do it better than I remember them doing it.
Because I think I agree with Cap more, but I understand Tony's argument.
Yeah.
And that's good storytelling.
That was always the thing about Civil War in the comics, was that both sides were legitimate, you know? Mm-hmm. And like I said, I remember it in a way that it skewed, so Captain America was like clearly right and Tony was made out to be the bad guy and like wrong, but that's not the case rewatching it. Mm-hmm. So,
but eventually, Tony keeps talking and says that he's basically put Wanda on house arrest.
Yeah, and then Cap's like, she's a kid. Like, what are you doing?
And yeah, and he doesn't understand. Like, she made one mistake, and now and a mistake, and basically, I think he's trying to say like we're the reason she has this problem.
Right.
So like, because she made that one mistake, you're putting her on house arrest. So, but as they're doing that, the power. We should say the Winter Soldier's in this giant metal cage.
Yeah.
And Zemo has snuck in to be the psychiatrist that's going to talk to him. He's also planning an EMP on Berlin's power grid.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, the way that goes off, there's, like, no security at this power grid.
Yeah, like, that's pretty crazy. And then, so, like, he's talking to Winter Soldier while, Cap, was it Sharon Carter?
Sharon
and then Sam, our, Falcon, are all watching the interview. And then the power goes out, and Baron starts rattling off the code to essentially activate the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And so they, like, try to go into action. And what's awesome about this scene is, like, Zemo's rattling the code off, and the whole time Bucky's trying to punch his way out of the cage. And the second that door flies off, you see Zemo's face, and it's like, it's just that moment where
this either worked or I'm dead.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, boy, I hope this works. Because if not, he just removed, like, 5 inches of steel, and I'm about to, like, lose my face.
But it does work. He gets the mission report and then convinces Bucky to attack everyone else.
Right, and that, what's interesting is this is kind of, in this scene I noticed a little bit, maybe not a lapse, but a weird hiccup in Tony's character, where he doesn't have a suit ready.
Yeah, especially because it is like a military
and like,
government thing. You'd think it would have something.
I mean, and he had the little glove, but, like, even, like, after 3, I know it was like, oh, you know, I'm going to back off this. But then he says to Cap, like, I didn't know when to stop because I didn't want to stop. So you'd think, like, he still has a suit ready. But he brings up, like, I don't have a suit. Like, I'm wearing a 3-piece suit.
Yeah, there's really no good reason why not to have it.
Yeah, and it's like, what, he says he's a non-combatant
civilian or something.
He's like a non-combatant active duty.
Yeah, it's not a good excuse.
It's totally not Tony.
So we get a fight throughout. The Winter Soldier kind of goes through everyone.
Yeah.
The one that does give him a little bit of fight is Black Panther.
Right, because he's an enhanced human.
He's enhanced. I do like the scene though where Black Widow's like on top of him and just hammering him in the head, and he just keeps moving.
Go to sleep.
It's like nothing's happening.
Yeah. So that's a pretty cool fight scene.
So Zemo escapes into the crowd, the mass hysteria. Right. The Winter Soldier tries to get on a helicopter.
Oh, and then we get the most advertised scene.
The most advertised scene, because you get to see Cap in all. You get to see
he's like
Chris Evans in all his glory.
He's like holding the rail of the launch pad and then the rail of the helicopter, and he's just like not benching it, but just like trying to pull it together. And
that's a chest exercise there. But yeah, he eventually crashes the helicopter. They both go into the river, and Cap, just like Bucky did at the end of 2, Cap pulls him out of the river here.
And what's interesting is, you brought it up, it's a good point. Why were there not soldiers swarming that river?
Oh, there should have been boats and everything on that river. I mean, I think it's the Rhine River. It's like not a small river. Yeah, it's in Berlin.
So,
I might be wrong if that's the Rhine River. I just know it's a big German river.
Right.
Anyway, they escape. They put the Winter Soldier's arm in a hydraulic press,
which is awesome.
And they try and get some information out. He tells him again he's brainwashed. He feels awful about it. He does slip that he's not the only Winter Soldier.
Right.
There are 5 more of them.
5 more, and he kind of explains that they were enhanced with the super soldier serum. So essentially, imagine 5 crazy Captain Americas running around.
5 crazy Russian Captain Americas.
Yeah, so.
And he says, they could take down any government in a night.
Yeah, 5 crazy skilled.
Speak 30 languages.
Yeah, can destabilize. And
yeah, so they think Zemo's plan is to get them to topple it, because he says something, I want to take an empire down.
Right.
So, Cap knows he can't call Tony on this.
Right.
So, but Sam says he knows a guy.
So this is where it gets funny. This is where the big fight starts to happen.
We're basically recruiting now.
Yeah, we see Hawkeye, who is retired, quote unquote, go to the Avengers.
Maybe he's still retired.
Yeah, go to the Avengers
compound
to, and he starts a fire out in the woods, and Vision goes to investigate, and then he shows up and grabs Wanda. He's like, all right, we should go before he comes back. And Vision comes back, and it's like a big fight thing, and then Wanda pushes him through like 30 floors of concrete.
First off, let's give up the props to Clint here, trying to fight the Vision with a bow and arrow.
Yeah, the Vision who possesses an Infinity Stone
and can warp through things made out of vibranium. Like, he tries.
He tried.
So we now got Hawkeye and Wanda with Cap and the Falcon.
And then
while this is happening,
well,
I was gonna go to the other side.
Well, they bring one more.
We're not there yet. There's one more scene before that.
Okay.
We have giant letters that say Queens.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
So you want to talk about this? Because I know you love this.
Yeah, this is my boy. So we are in Queens, which is quite the scene change from the European side.
We jump around a lot in this movie.
Yeah. So we're in Queens. Tony has 36 hours to bring Cap.
Oh yeah, Ross tells him you've got 36 hours before I take care of this.
Right. So Tony's in Queens. We see a young man enter an apartment, start talking to, oh, hey, Aunt May, I was back home. And then he turns around and sees Tony Stark. And he's just blown away. And this is Peter Parker. And Tony says, like, oh, yeah, you were accepted into this grant to, like, do all this stuff.
Let's talk about one thing Aunt May says. Some foreshadowing here. She says, when Tony says this very attractive aunt, she says, ants come in all shapes and sizes.
No, that's not.
It was a little bit of foreshadowing, I think.
I don't think it was.
I think it is. I think the Russos knew something.
The Russos knew.
The Russos knew.
So
hashtag that, the Russos knew.
So Tony goes into Peter's room with him and he starts talking. And pretty much he's like, so I know you're the spider guy. The spiderling, he calls him.
The spiderling, spider boy.
Spider boy. And then he like pulls down his suit and like Peter's freaking out. He's like, no one knows, like I can't do this. And he gives, Tony's like, no, come on, we'll come up with an excuse pretty much. And takes him with him.
I do like the scene they have there when Tony's talking to him, like why he does it. It's a very Peter Parker gives a very Steve Rogers answer.
Yeah.
Like had Captain America gotten there first, I think he's on Cap's side.
Right. Well, and that happened in the comics. He switched sides.
Yes, he does. You're right.
Because the whole thing in the comics was registering superheroes.
Yeah, and he gives his identity away, and that's
which was like big because he was like the only one in the world who never let that slip.
Yeah.
And then he registers and then switches sides halfway through because he realizes that Cap's right. Well, Cap's morally right.
Yeah. So now we have your boy Spider-Man.
My boy Spider-Man's in the mix.
But then we got someone else on Cap's side.
I mean, I guess the
Paul Rudd,
most average-looking man in the world, counts for something.
That's fine. I just love how awkward he is when he comes out of the van. His first thing he says, "What time zone am I in?"
Yeah.
So I don't know how long he's actually been in this van. Perhaps Hawkeye like launched an arrow with the van and just launched it across the Atlantic Ocean because he probably was on. It doesn't seem like it was on a plane. It was just in this van. And then he awkwardly shakes hands with Captain America.
He's like, "I'm shaking your hand way too long."
I just love that one. He's like, "Oh my gosh, it's Captain America." He's like, "I know you. You're great too. Hey, Cap." So now we have the scene, the showdown, the airport.
Yeah, so they're in the airport. They have to get to a jet so they can get to Siberia.
Yes.
To stop Zemo. And Cap's walking out, and they're confronted by
Team Tony.
Iron Man and War Machine.
Black Widow.
Black Panther. And then Spider-Man comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cap kind of swapperdonks him a little bit. He gets webbed.
I don't think Cap swapperdonks. I think some Scott Lang swapperdonks here.
No. Here's where the swapperdonky begins. Cap's all webbed up, and then he puts his hands up, and Clint totally like sets him free with an arrow. And then the fight begins where we see Falcon come out and everything.
You're not giving Ant-Man his credit. I feel like you're doing something bad here.
I mean, the fight hasn't started yet.
I mean, it's almost like he's the best insect-themed superhero at this fight. And
maybe insect-themed.
Small.
Insect-themed, probably. Arachnid-themed, no.
Bug-themed.
No. No.
This was the entire fight throughout the movie.
You're wrong.
Ant-Man's just better than
chose
Spider-Man.
that side to annoy me.
No, I like Paul Rudd.
So
now, maybe if Tobey Maguire had been playing Spider-Man.
Oh my gosh. Look, that's for after Infinity War.
So yeah, we get this huge fight scene between Team Cap and Team Iron Man. I mean, this might be the best 20-minute stretch in Marvel.
Yeah, it's pretty good. You see a lot of cool things done with like Ant-Man fighting, doing the shrinking thing, kind of outfighting Black Widow, which is interesting.
Well, it's because he can do his pin particles.
Pin particles are the only reason he outpowers Black Widow.
But then he goes giant, so we get Giant Man here.
Giant Man happens, which that's kind of interesting because he says, "Hey, I'm going to distract him. On my signal, run to the jet. Or if I get torn in half, don't come back." And Falcon's... No, who says it? I think it's Falcon. He's
I think it's Winter Soldier says, like, he's going to tear himself in half.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
We're not going to talk about the physics that doesn't make sense on this.
Yeah.
Or the science at all.
By the way, pin particles work. He should be technically weaker in this form, but whatever.
So yeah, like I said, it's a giant fight scene. Eventually, Cap does get to the jet. Him and Bucky.
Right.
So they escape.
Black Widow lets him go.
Black Widow helps them go. And I guess we should talk about the one casualty we have here. As they're trying to fly away, War Machine and Iron Man are after with the Falcon. The Falcon behind. Vision did show up at this point.
Right.
Tony asked Vision to take out Falcon's thrusters.
Yeah. That was it. He said turn it
into a glider.
Yeah, turn it into a glider.
So not kill him.
No. Which was interesting. None of them went lethal.
Nothing was lethal here. Oh, except Ant-Man accidentally.
Yeah, Ant-Man accidentally threw like gas truck, and he's like, "Oh, I thought that was a water truck."
that was a good line.
That was good.
But as Vision's shooting, Falcon does his patented, I'm going to put wings away and roll away from this.
I mean, that's what's cool about the Falcon is he's just like, keeps you guessing. He's
yeah.
just like, whoop, nope.
But it takes out War Machine's arc reactor, which means he's powerless.
Yeah, so he's literally like falling in a metal coffin right now.
I mean, it is a little claustrophobic. They only show it for a second, but you see what he's seeing?
Yeah, inside the mask, through the like two little eye slits, and the world is just rolling.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. And both Falcon and Iron Man try to dive down to catch him.
And you brought this up. Like, I hate the fact that Iron Man then just shoots Falcon like that, because it's already. I know maybe Iron Man doesn't know this.
Right.
I don't know. He's been an Avenger. Falcon's been the Avengers for a year. Probably something now.
So like here's the thing, right? I mean, you gotta take into account Rhodey is Tony's best friend. All that. He, like, he just took however many 100, if not 1,000 foot fall in a metal suit, and essentially I could see Falcon being to blame in Tony's eyes. And then Falcon. No, I don't think. I'm not saying Falcon was in the wrong.
Well, it's just you could tell right away. Falcon's just as emotionally invested.
Falcon's just like, I'm sorry,
because he's lost all his wingmen
right
when he was doing these missions, so he knows what this is like. But I guess Tony's very emotional.
Yeah, so he just like blasts him.
Yeah. So
could have been worse. He could have gotten unibeamed.
Oh God. Roasted Falcon.
Red Wing, no.
Red Wing takes the mantle. All right, so let's just recap here. Cap, Winter Soldier are in Siberia.
Yep.
All the soldiers on Team Cap are on the raft now,
which is a like super secure underwater prison.
It's a floating prison, so you can't track it supposedly.
How do you take anyone there then?
I guess if you know where you're looking for.
I guess.
Anyway, so Tony goes there right after the fight. You can tell it's right after. He's still got a black eye and sling.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to get information of where Cap is.
Mm-hmm.
And
to the point where he knocks out the raft's audio from their audio video.
Yeah, well, do you want to talk about Hawkeye?
Oh yeah, Hawkeye.
Roasting
Hawkeye
Tony.
he's just like, Mr. Futurist knows what's best for you, even if you don't think, or like what, even if you don't, or whatever.
I wasn't even going to say that. At the end, when he's walking away, he just says, "You better watch your back with this guy, or he might break it."
Yeah, that's like
Jesus.
Oh, Hawkeye's like the fact that he wasn't that big in Avengers 1 makes me realize how much they wasted Jeremy Renner.
Well, at least they used him a lot in Avengers 2.
Yeah, like he's like so good.
It's gonna be a shame what's gonna happen in Avengers 3.
Stop. We've already confirmed I'm sitting next to you in the theaters, and I will not control my volume of that expletive.
He eventually, he knocks off the audio of the raft when talking to Sam, and Sam says, "If you go by yourself. You don't tell Thunderbolt Ross. You don't tell anyone.
And you go as a friend."
Yeah. So he does tell him where they're going.
Tony has a really good line when he's leaving, and Ross says, like, dude, give you any information on Rogers. And he's like, no, if you find anything out, call me. I'll make sure you're put on hold because I like watching the line blank. And then he just, like, gives him this, like, real, like, this just snarky smile.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this just came to my mind. Why is our Secretary of State on a floating prison in the middle of the ocean?
Yep.
Okay. So Tony now has this information. He's on the helicopter, and I forgot about this transformation, but it's really cool. He pushes a button, the helicopter puts a suit on him, and then poops it out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, there's always a lot. I feel like at this point, since directors jump around and everything, it's like, all right, I now have to give Iron Man his coolest suit up if he's in my movie.
Which is gonna actually kind of suck though with this new one, with the way he has a suit embedded in him. That's not gonna happen anymore.
I don't know. We'll see. It depends. If it's like Black Panther style,
it's gonna be like Black Panther.
But if it's like in the comics where it just like liquefies out, then
no, it's gonna be a combination of those, I think.
The liquid light. Yeah.
So Zemo's now in Siberia. Cap's in Siberia. Winter Soldier's in Siberia, and eventually Tony's in Siberia, and they decide to put a truce till they can figure this out.
Right.
They get into the main bunker where the Winter Soldiers are and see that they are all dead.
Mm-hmm.
And Zemo is behind this giant metal container that he says is strong enough to take out U.S. war missiles.
No, it withstands the blast from like U-100s.
I don't know what that is, but
I guess it's a missile classification.
Which Tony says, "Bet you I can beat it."
Yeah, which is great.
It's a great Tony line.
Bet you I can beat that.
And we find out Zemo's plan was not to use the soldiers, not to do anything. His only plan was to get them all here.
Right.
Where he plays the video of the December 1991.
Where it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, we go back to the beginning. We see the crash that Winter Soldier calls, and we see that it was actually Tony's parents.
Right.
That were in there. And you see, it is a very brutal death scene.
Yeah, he just like punches Howard Stark in the face till he just falls.
Yeah.
And he just chokes out his mom.
So this sets Tony into a rage.
Yeah.
And then all he does is ask Cap, like, did you know?
Right.
And Cap had to say, yes, I did.
Yeah.
And this is where the real Civil War starts.
Yeah, this is a good climax for this. Like you said, it's just sloppy how it got there.
Yeah, I think when the final product's really well done, it's just the beginning was a little...
Yeah. And so there's this awesome fight scene, and there's this really good line where, you know, Cap's just like, he's my friend, Tony. And Tony's just like, so was I. So,
actually, before we get to the climax of that, let's talk about Zemo. Zemo goes off after he sees he won.
Yeah, Zemo gets
He
away.
listens to a voicemail. I guess we should say he found out that his family lived a little bit outside Sokovia.
Right.
And he kept saying, don't worry, we're safe. We're not in the city. But when they drop the city, it ends up destroying their house and killing them. So he's listening to the last voicemail he has one more time. Black Panther, I forgot, used one of his Wakanda ships to get there.
Yeah, so that's why Tony couldn't detect it.
Mm-hmm. And he sees, and he says this really good line that I wrote. He's talking, I'm sure, let me try that one more time. Zemo's talking about, like, you know, something with the dead. He's about to kill himself. Black Panther puts his hand in front of the gun to stop because it's vibranium. And then says, the living are not done with you yet. Yeah, which I think is just such a good Black Panther line.
Yeah, that's a really good line.
But he also makes that claim that I'm done searching for vengeance.
Yeah, he's like, I've seen it consume them, it's consumed you. I don't want it to
Which is, again, for a character that is only in a movie for maybe 10 total minutes, you get a really good character development of Black Panther here, which leads very well into his movie.
Right.
Because when you think about it, the villain, the foil for him in that movie is a character fueled by vengeance.
Right, yeah.
So, we get the final fight scene between the Winter Soldier, Cap, and Tony. The Winter Soldier and Cap are kind of kicking Tony's butt.
So, I want to say, throughout the whole fight, we were talking about this, I remember a lot of people saying, like, oh, Cap and Winter Soldier kicked Iron Man's butt, but, like, pretty even considering it's a 2-on-1.
I think it's pretty even till the end.
Even at the end, it gets a little... Even at the end, it's pretty...
Well, like I said, you guys can watch the fight and make up your own decision. They do blow off the Winter Soldier's arm.
Yeah.
Cap's fighting him. Tony has Friday make countermeasures, so I guess Friday's controlling the suit to fight, counter
so
fight.
it's a whole thing. It ends, and we kind of cut to later.
Well, I do want to talk about the scene because I remember in theaters, Cap's on top of Tony, beating him with the shield.
Yeah.
He knocks the mask off, and then you see him hold the shield up, like blade down.
Right.
And I thought even in theaters, like, oh my gosh, this is where Tony Stark dies, because it's always been the joke. They're paying Robert Downey Jr. so much money.
Yeah.
He's getting a little older. You can't have him do these movies forever. So
right.
Really, he could die at any time.
Yeah.
So, and then you see, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is where he dies.
Mm-hmm.
But he smashed the arc reactor. I was like, oh yeah, it is Captain America, duh.
Yeah. He's not going to kill Tony. Now, if Tony was a Nazi...
if he was Hitler.
If he was creepy Hitler. So, we cut to after everything. Tony and some of the Avengers are back at the compound.
He's helping Rhodey with his new prosthetics.
Yeah, Rhodey has these new, like, enhanced, like, leg... Essentially, they're, like, War Machine legs to help him walk because he's dealing with paralysis.
Which I do like. You do see that in the trailers of Infinity War, so that's kind of cool. And then we get your Lee cameo.
The Lee cameo, which is pretty good. He's a FedEx man, and he just says, I have a package for Tony Stank.
Tony Stank.
Which, you know, Rhodey's just like...
He's kind of pulling back his cameo from the first Fantastic Four.
Yeah, a little bit. No, the first Fantastic Four, he was a doorman.
Oh, he was a mailman, I thought.
No, he's a doorman.
Did he have mail, though?
Oh, maybe he did.
Maybe that's why I'm getting confused.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like there was
he
mail.
He worked in their hotel building or whatever.
Yeah, but I feel like there was mail involved.
I think there was. Anyway.
This is what our listeners love when we talk about did Stan Lee have mail in a movie that's not in the MCU.
So, and Tony gets a letter from Cap saying, like, you know, I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I wish we were on the same page about the Sokovia Accords. I really do. Like, he's like, I think in the end, I believe in individuals, and they haven't let me down yet.
And as he's reading this letter, we see that the raft has been infiltrated, and that Cap has freed all the captured Team Caps.
And he gives him a burner phone essentially. He's like, if you ever need us, if you ever need me, just call and I'll be there. So, and yeah, that's kind of when the credits start rolling. I guess if you want to talk about the Stinger, I just know the Stinger is they're in Wakanda, so it's whatever. Things have changed, but really, I think this was hyped up to be a lot bigger event than it was. Yeah, I think this was supposed to be like, I think this was supposed to set up to be Avengers 1 level, like, world-shaking stuff, but it really wasn't. Like, because at the end of the day, if needed, Tony can still call Cap. Yeah. And Cap would help him. As long as Bucky's not there. We'll see. Yeah. But yeah, I guess you thought this was... it does tear them apart. There's no real Avengers anymore. Right. But it's not like they hate each other. It's just like, we're not talking right now. Yeah, exactly. Which is... Yeah, so... All right. Like I said, we're both a little pressed for time today. So let's do our patented shield scale that the scientists created for us. The lightning round. Go ahead. You want to rattle off what they are? Sure thing. We have our scoundrel. How is the villain in this movie? We will be looking at Baron Zemo this time. Hero. I want to say heroes, because even though this is a Captain America movie, it's really an Avengers movie. Yeah, it's Avengers 2.5. Integrity. How does the movie hold up? Both effects and story. Entertainment. Was it fun to watch? That's the point of movies. Lee. How is the Lee cameo? Development. How did it affect the MCU as a whole? All right. Brendon, what do you think of the scoundrel? So I like Baron Zemo a lot because I think the one thing we got to keep in mind, he's the one villain that succeeds. It's true. His plan wasn't to kill the Avengers. He was to split them apart, and at the end, he is successful in there. Yeah. I think one thing I like about this villain is he's not one that's using power or technology or anything like that. He's just using his own wit. And he even mentions, like, stronger men than me have tried to kill them and failed. There's no chance I have of doing that. Right. I like how little screen time he has. Mm-hmm. He's not the focus of the movie. He's almost a D character if you think of everything else there. I think it's well done. The rationale or his motive makes sense. Mm-hmm. Again, I think the anger's a little misguided because, again, I don't know unless they know Ultron was created by... Well, his was more that after it was all done, the Avengers went home. Like they
didn't do the cleanup.
They didn't help. Like I think that was his. Like his whole thing was like they were a part in this destruction. They didn't help. So I think it was that.
Okay, but like I said, I think it's a very good. Marvel struggles with villains.
Yeah.
But this is one I think is very memorable. I'm gonna go 4.25 on that.
Whoops.
Oh my gosh! So usually I do the entering of data for a scientist.
Well, look, I don't know what happened.
We're at the alternative location because of scheduling today, and is your numbers lock on? There you go. So Connor is now entering the data for a scientist, and they're a little struggling here with our advanced 1970s servers.
Well, if we just upgraded to modern day anyway.
All right, you Zemo, go.
Yeah, I like Zemo a lot for all the reasons you stated. He was done really well. The fact that he wasn't like this, like he wasn't the focus of it, and that's nice. He was like, he was a force. He wasn't a villain. He was a force. He was this thing that was just influencing these events to divide the Avengers. Mm-hmm. I like him a lot. I'm gonna give him a 4.5.
Okay.
Because I thought he was done very well.
All right, for heroes, just for the sake of this, because there is a lot in here, I think we should focus just on Tony and Cap.
Okay, that's fair.
So why don't you start?
Okay, Tony. The division between them again is done much better than I remembered. With the Sokovia Accords, both sides are very justified. I think Cap has a good standing. Tony has a good standing. Tony is driven more by guilt. Cap's driven more by like the sense of righteousness. So both are pretty good. Again, the only thing I can think of is the little laughs character where Tony doesn't have a suit. Mm-hmm. Is like my biggest like fault. Like why? I mean, I think it was an above average performance. I kind of want to give it a 3.
3?
3.
See, I think I'm actually probably going to go a little higher than you on this. I think both characters are done really well in here. I think both their motives are laid out well, especially when you think about what they both have gone through, because they haven't gone through the same things. They've gone through two radically different paths through life. Mm-hmm. So I think they're done very well. I will say I understand the reason Cap is loyal to Winter Soldier, but I think he's too loyal. He's loyal to a fault.
Right.
It seems in here. Again, that's just his character flaw there, his loyalty. But like I said, I understand both sides. I agree with Cap more than Tony, but I understand where Tony's coming from. Yeah. I'm going to go 4 on that. I think both heroes are done pretty well. So I'll go 4. Integrity, I think this is where I'm probably going to... This is probably going to be the lowest score for me.
Okay.
I don't... Maybe the lead cameo. I don't know. I haven't thought about that yet. Because it's so trivial.
I like it.
Okay, so I was trying to get you riled up. You won't do it. You won't take the bait. Take the bait. Anyway, I think the effects are okay. I said one thing. I didn't like Spider-Man's suit in this movie.
Yeah, it looked a little video gamey.
Yeah, it looks a little video gamey. I do like... I'm not even trying to do this to troll. I do like the new Ant-Man suit.
The new Ant-Man suit
does
look really good. Cool. I don't get the practicality of the mask popping off completely, but whatever.
Yeah, it's maybe it's... Don't worry about it. Yeah. He needs orange slices. But I think like the effects with Vision are cool. Scarlet Witch are cool. I think the effects are pretty well done. Mm-hmm. Again, this movie's only 2 years old. That should be the case. I think what it's gonna bump down for me is the storytelling. Yeah. That I think the ending, how they get there, is very good. But I think the way they get there is very sloppy.
Right.
I think I think it's one of those things that Civil War is such a famous comic book story arc.
Right.
That they wanted to get it in there some way. Because
right.
Like you said, we don't read comics on a regular basis, but we have both read that.
Yeah, we both made sure we read that.
So I'm going to go probably a 3 on the integrity. Okay. I just think the storytelling could have been done better, or, you do a different story here, and then this should have been like the Avengers 3, where then you do Infinity War Avengers 4. Gives you a little more time.
And that's why I feel like this should have been, and because this wasn't called, Cap's usually not, the only one that's called Captain America is the first Avenger, but usually it's referred to as the Winter Soldier for 2, and this is always referred to as Civil War. Mm-hmm. But I think this one suffers from the issue of, it's not Captain America Civil War, it's Civil War.
Featuring Captain America.
Yeah, he happens to be the main character for whatever reason. So, I want to give it, I think I'll give it a 3 too. It's just, I don't know. I agree with you on a lot of those reasons.
Okay, entertainment. How entertained were you?
It's a dramatic movie. Paul Rudd brings some comedy to it.
Oh, so does Tom Holland.
Yeah, he does too. But like, it's such a short-lived.
Our bug
thing.
characters are the comic relief.
It's true.
And us watching the movie.
I mean, this was we took a few breaks watching this movie for lunch and stuff. But yeah, it's I mean, it was. I'd probably watch it again within a week, like if it was on TV.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think this is a very rewatchable movie. If nothing else, just the airport scene alone.
Yeah. I'll give it a 3.5.
Oh really? You're that low?
I don't know. I'm not like in love with this movie. I don't think it's bad by any means. I'm just not like in love with it.
See, and I think we're going to differ here because I'm going to actually give it 4.5.
Okay.
I like this movie. I like the action. I like this. Besides the beginning storytelling, I think storytelling's done throughout very well. I think the character arcs are done very well. I like the change of sceneries that they're doing. I like how the characters interact. I mean, there's a lot to like in here.
Right.
Like I said, I think there are some parts that could be done better, and I think it's hard to say a franchise that's been building up for 10 years is rushed.
Right.
But there are things I think...
And I don't think it's the plot of the whole thing overall. I think it's just this movie does have parts that feel rushed.
Yeah, I think there are parts that feel rushed. I mean, there's a lot going on in this movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's 4.5. I think there are more like, if I had to rank the Cat movies, I definitely would rather watch 2 than 3.
Right.
Because I think 2 is, as a movie, better.
Yeah.
But I think this is definitely in a top-tier rewatchable Marvel movie.
Right.
It's very entertaining. I guess the one thing you could say, it's not a funny movie, which isn't a problem.
It's not.
But, like, because there are issues with movies being funny in the MCU as an issue.
Yeah.
I kind of
addressed multiple times.
I think Guardians 2 is a little too funny. I know we haven't gotten to it yet. I think Thor Ragnarok's a little too funny for what they're trying to do. So I think there are things in there. But, like I said, I think it's a very good movie. All right, Lee.
Man, I will say, I thought this was a funny one. I thought it worked well because, like, it's kind of one of those things where the characters interact with it, which is rare.
It's that, and also it breaks up a lot of tension, which is good.
It does. It ends the movie on a high note. I think is what it does.
Yeah, you don't want to come out of this movie being super grim.
Yeah, like I feel like if they didn't have it in here, it would have been like, man, that was a harsh movie, you know? Like you'd be a little bummed. I like it because the timing of it was good, like you were saying. Like it was used actually for a purpose. It wasn't like, oh man, we have to get our Lee cameo in here.
It wasn't ham-fisted in.
Yeah.
It was kind of there.
Plus it had to do with the plot. He delivered the letter.
Oh, he is? That's a good point. That's one thing I like with Lee cameos. I said, does it tie into the plot or is it ham-fisted in?
He delivered the letter.
All right, what are you giving it?
Man, I want to give this like a 3.75.
I'm pretty close here. I'm going to give it a 4.
Oh.
And I think you just nailed most of the points there. I mean, ties into the plot. It's funny. It breaks up a very tense moment.
Yeah.
Which you kind of need that comic relief with the way the movie was going. It seems like it is kind of in character. This 90-year-old FedEx driver has no idea who Tony Stark is. So
exactly.
That's funny. So yeah, I'll give it a 4. All right, finally, development. Let me rattle off my traditional.
As we do.
Let me rattle off what I can remember. This ties into the MCU. Wakanda is referenced.
Wakanda's introduced.
Wakanda is
not
formally.
introduced.
Formally, we meet people from Wakanda.
We meet people. Black Panther.
Black Panther is introduced. We have the Winter Soldier come back.
Okay.
We have the Sokovia Accords.
Right.
That's
a big one.
We have Thunderbolt Ross come back.
Yes.
We also didn't mention Ross from Black Panther is also in this movie. We didn't realize that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When we watched Black Panther, we're like, I don't know who this guy is. He's actually works in Berlin.
Yeah.
During that whole scene where they capture the Winter Soldier. So that's another small tie-in. We get the tearing apart of the Avengers. We have Spider-Man introduced.
Yes.
You get all those heroes brought in.
Giant Man is a thing.
Giant Man is a thing, and it's amazing.
Sucks that won't be in Infinity War.
It'll be in 4, the death of Spider-Man. That's what Avengers 4 is, the death of
Spider-Man gets the power cosmic. He punches the Hulk into the sun, and then now Ant-Man has to stop it.
Yep.
Which, by the way, only one part of that was made up. The rest happened in comics.
What?
Spider-Man gets the power cosmic and like punches Hulk into space.
Huh.
Okay.
So you get those characters introduced. You You have Zemo still alive, so he could still play a part in future Avengers if you really want. I don't think they will, but you could. I think there's a lot of development. As a whole, I think my one thing I'll say though is there's nothing permanent. I think done.
No.
To the relationship, like when you.
Yeah, it would.
With the marketing and with the way this movie's sold, it's like there's gonna be a drastic change. Besides the fact they're not like directly talking to each other right now, there's not a change. They could they're not on bad terms.
And I think, like you were saying during the movie, it's totally realistic for Tony to realize it wasn't directly Bucky's fault.
Yeah, and I think had he has time to calm down.
Yeah, and I think in the moment it was an issue, but I think over time he's gonna realize like he was just the instrument, you know.
So I think I'm gonna go 4.25 on this. I think it develops the universe a lot. I think it is a strong addition to the MCU. I think there are some things that, and again, I talk a lot about marketing, and maybe it's me hyping up movies and thinking what I want as opposed to what the average consumer wants.
Well, that's important though because it's the idea they set upon you.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I'll go 4.25.
Okay, I'm gonna go 4, a little lower. Just because I don't see like they add a lot, but I don't see how it's gonna shape. Like, I don't think Ross is gonna, as Secretary of State, is gonna affect the universe greatly. I think in the end of it, especially where we're going to with Infinity War.
Okay.
So I don't think that's a big issue. I mean, obviously Black Panther is, Spider-Man is, stuff like that. But you know, there aren't any Infinity Stones. There aren't. Well, there are with Vision, but.
Yeah, that's
no new ones. There's no new Infinity Stones introduced. There's nothing that, like you said, there's nothing permanent. Even the Avengers that were in jail
they're out of jail.
Were free, you know,
so
like it wasn't.
It's not even like we got that going for us.
So I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay. We just got the wire in from our scientists in the other side of the country. They've calculated our scores. Yeah, they said it took a little bit because the Pony Express was shut down for about...
Why do we use outdated forms of everything?
Because we're the podcast of the people.
We're hipsters.
Captain America Civil War finishes 5th on our list. It is right below Black Panther and right above the first Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's a top 5 movie. Connor, what do you think about that?
I think that's fair. I think this is a big movie. Like, a lot of people... Like, it's just iconic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's fair that it did, like I said, it did a good villain, which is sort of rare. But yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's a memorable movie. I think there's a lot of memorable moments in this movie, but there are some flaws, and I think people maybe overlook that sometimes because you think of like the airport scene, or you think of that shot of Iron Man using the repulsors on the shield. Yeah, and you can sometimes forget that there are some flaws in this movie. Right, but I think top 5 is a very respectable showing for this movie. That also means that Captain America right now, I believe, is the only superhero with 2 movies in the top 5.
Yeah, that's true.
It was Guardians. Now it's just Cap.
And he's in 3.
He's in 3 of them.
He's in 3 of the movies. Number 2 being Avengers. So.
All right. Well, Connor, we're getting close to the end here.
We are.
I think the Doctor's in next week.
Oh, are we finally seeing the Doctor?
Yeah, the Doctor.
I think being locked up in the lab for all these hours has been causing some issues.
You do have a distinct aroma to you now.
Yeah, it's gross. So, Doctor Strange is next week.
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch making his appearance.
Yep, nothing like Bumblebee Cumberbunt.
Do you want to take that again?
Benadryl gummy bears.
I'll give you one more try.
Okay, I'm going to try really hard on this one. Bumper car curriculum. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay,
good job, kiddo.
Good old bumper car curriculum.
All right, yes, next week will be Doctor Strange as we get ready. We're down to 3 movies.
Oh, man. That's going to be the double up soon.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that yet.
All right.
Anyway, this is where I beg the Couch Gnomes and thank them for letting me take their YouTube space
whenever
I want.
We're going to speed through this. We stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/CouchGnomes every Friday, starting at 6:30 and going until about 8:30, sometimes 9. Hey, big news for that. We just got accepted into the Twitch Affiliates program, and as of last night, we have our subscription set up for that.
I don't know what that is.
It means that people can now subscribe to us. We're going to get emoticons made up, so you can get your special Couch Gnomes emoticons. There's already been talks of making a That's a Shirt emoticon, which is which is going to be an arrow pointing up to the comment above you and says, "That's a shirt."
Can I get one that just says it's the Falcon?
We'll see.
I just want that for me. No one else can have it.
Okay. So we have that set up. That's some big news for us. That's taking steps. We have to be invited into that, so we got invited. That's super cool.
Neat.
We, keep your eye on the YouTube. We're always doing cool new stuff. Me and Kanai are working on a great series that I think is going to be really fun. Plus, we're working on our biggest production as Couch Gnomes yet. We are actually getting commissions. And I mean, like, over $100 commissions.
What?
Yeah. For art and music and stuff, yeah.
I need to get in this game.
So, yeah.
I need, like, get good at stuff.
We're getting into that. That's awesome. Oh, man. If I wanted to buy shirts, I could ask my handy friend, Phone Kanai, where to get them.
Shop.spreadshirt.com/couchgnomes.
Oh, thanks, Phone Kanai.
Thanks, Kanai.
Because I can't remember that. Yeah, new merch. It's really great. Most of them done by Kanai. So, super talented. Go check them out. There's a lot of cool ones. I think that's everything. So, join us next week for Doctor Strange.
Why'd you say it like that?
I don't know. It just felt mystical.
And on that note, see ya.
Bye.